The poem of Peace by John Denver says, "There's a name for war and killing, there's a name for giving in. When you know another answer, for me that name is sin. But there's still time to turn around and make all hatred cease and give another name to live in, and we could call it peace. And peace would be the road we walk, each step along the way. And peace would be the way we work, and peace the way we play. And in all we see that's different, and in all the things we know, peace would be the way we look, and peace the way we grow. There's another name for separation. There's a name for first and last, when it's all for us or nothing, and for me that name is past. But there's still time to turn around and make all hatred cease, and give another name to the future, and we could call it peace. And if peace is what we pray for, and if peace is what we give, then peace will be the way we are, and peace the way we live. Yet there still is time to turn around and make all hatred cease, and give another name to living, and we could call it peace. In the Bible it says, now peace, the blessed are the peacemakers, because they'll be called the children of God. And I'm like, big whoop. I mean, what about like a car or a guy or like something substantial, like the children of God, like got that check. You know what I mean? I don't, there's a place within us that doesn't value it. Jimi Hendrix or Mahatma Gandhi, I don't know who's actually credited for this because Google credits both of them, says, when the power of love overcomes the love of power, the world will know peace. Well, that resistance towards peace is that thing that says, like, I don't know if I really want to value peace. I prefer a little bit of power, thank you very much. So when we come to find that when we get to peace, then we're given infinite power. This is A Course in Miracles, and this is my book, and I am what it says I am, and I can do what it says I can do. And what it says is that its goal is peace. And like I said before we started, that's where I got the idea for our goal here at Speakeasy, is that our goal is peace. And, in reading it for the first couple of times, I remember looking in the introduction, and it says, this is A Course in Miracles, and then the next line it says is, it's a required course. And I was like, forget that. Required? Like, no thank you. Like, I'm a rule breaker. I'm a religious rebel. I don't want to do what's required. I want to color outside the lines. Required sounds boring. So, you might relate to that. You know what I mean? So I had to look up the word required, and required means to ensure. Something that's necessary. It's essential. It's indispensable. It's vital. It's needed. And I'm still not sold on it. I'm like, so big whoop, what does that got to do with me? What's that song? What's that got to do with me?
What's love got to do with it?
I was talking about the one like,
I got a man.
Yeah, right? How'd it go, Will?
I got a man. What's that got to do with me? A guy's trying to hit on a lady, and she's like, I got a man. He's like, what's that got to do with me?
Yeah, that's how I feel sometimes. I'm like, what's that got to do with me? I still want what I want, right? So, but the good news is I get to go to my internal teacher, and we all have an internal teacher, an internal compass, and we go to the internal compass. I go to my internal compass when I'm in my resistance, and I'm like, what does that got to do with me? I still don't understand. I don't want to know about that. Just give me my good. I get to go to my internal teacher and say, what is this thing about requirement? What is that? What does that mean to me? So my internal teacher was saying, Maureen, you see flowers all around, the beauty of the garden and the beauty of flowers. And I say, yeah. And it says, the beauty of the flowers came because those flowers require light and sunlight. And I go, yeah, I get that. And those flowers and the beauty of that garden requires water. And I go, yeah, I get that. But again, what's that got to do with me? And it says the funny thing between you and the flowers is never do you walk through a garden and you hear flowers begrudging the fact that they're reliant on sunlight and water. It's like, oh man, gotta give all the credit to the water and the sun. Because we don't. We walk through the garden and all we see are the flowers. We never think about the water and the light. When we come from a fractured place of not recognizing our true source, we can get stuck in the form and the out-picturing of the form. And so it might be an invitation for us to get a little bit deeper, and to recognize that we are reliant on each other, interconnected to each other, that we all support each other in miraculous and unknown ways, and the thing that glues us all together is God. It's funny that I don't want to give credit where credit is due. I don't want to give credit to the light, to the love, to the levity that makes my life holy. And that comes from connecting with other people. It feels sometimes the resistance comes from being embarrassed or shameful, that we're held together in this way. And that you might actually recognize all of my warts and riddles, because that's what happens when we get intimate. And that's one of the reasons, and the resistance is as to my wanting to go it my own way and be that spiritual 2-year-old, that flower that is just running from her own resources and saying, this got nothing to do with water or light, I'm doing this on my own, this is mine. No? We know what happens when we do that, we wither. So I have to look at, why do I get shy around talking about my truth? And my truth is, God is my spiritual backbone. And we speak about that on Sunday morning, but I don't always take that into every breath and engagement that I have. And when I do, when I have an encounter with somebody and I say, hey, let's pray on that, I do feel like, oh, geez, here she goes. Sometimes I feel like it is embarrassing to speak of God in some of our pockets or public places. So, in fact, I had an opportunity one time to go to this school where I was supposed to give a talk to these wayward women, these young girls who were much like myself as a kid, and curious, I'll call them. And I'm walking down the hallway with the principal, and she stops me before we get to the auditorium, and she looks me in the eye, and she says, one thing you can't talk about, God. And I was like, oh man, I just started laughing because I thought she just left the door open. I'm going to go there, I'm going to use all the pretty words, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, but God, no, So it's interesting that this is a culture where we're embarrassed about the truth of our being. Even against this universal timidness that we hold around our sacredness, we still find ways. We still crawl ourselves to these conversations and find ourselves, preaching poetically at each other, on those dark nights and those rare moments where we're like, yeah, God. God is so great. It's amazing with these miracles that have shown up in my life, and they've come through all of these interesting disguises, but I know the source is that water and that light, and it's God. And that's the name. We do this together, sometimes we let ourselves come undressed and undone, and we slip into our sacred states of being. And we spring towards love without apology, without watering it down, without hesitation. We find ourselves, our most holy selves, rushing to revelation, rushing to recognition of the truth of our being, that we're not physical beings, that we're spiritual beings having a physical experience for a temporary time, but that really we count on that water and that light of love. And it's funny because these self-conscious guards that hold back the truth of our being, that keep us safe in our own smallness, tell us to play it cool, play it small. They don't actually want us to play it cool or play it small. What they actually want us to do, and these are our own fears I'm talking about, what they actually want us to do is not play at all, to completely silence us. Because the only way we can play is when we're playing with each other, otherwise it's masturbation. I don't know why I just said that. I don't know why, I'm sorry. That just came from my mouth. Which is fine. So we seek to separate and silence our most sacred states of being, right? We seek to water them down. And yet to step into our power, to step into our true power and empowerment requires that we recognize our spiritual being. That's the requirement that this course is talking about. That's the requirement that comes at the door of every threshold that says, are you ready to really be large and in charge with your divine? That's the only thing that's required, is that we recognize I'm not a physical being. If I were a physical being, I'd be, stuck in these 5 limited senses, but I'm going with God, and with God, all things are possible. And why wouldn't I want to go there and do that and be all of that? You've experienced that before, where you let your smallness be slipped away, and sometimes you did it when you hit bottom, and you're like, forget it, God, I got nothing, you got to take over. We could get there without having to hit bottom. We could get there more gracefully when we say, yeah, God, you're large and in charge, and I'm not going to be embarrassed to talk about what really is fueling my tank. In the last couple of years, I said, peace is my goal. I really stepped into the embodiment that peace was my goal. And it rests on the idea of A Course in Miracles. And A Course in Miracles says, I'm not going to teach you about love, because this book is not capable about teaching us about love. Like, it's like teaching fish about water. Like, it just is. You know, it just is. It's the isness of our being. We are immersed in God's love. But what the Course can teach us, and any good philosophy or theology can teach us, is to look at the blocks to that love. And the blocks are always defenses. You know, places where we've built up a small wall around ourselves, or sometimes a large wall around ourselves, and we said, like, I'm going to do it my own way. I'm going to be self-sufficient. Recognizing this can help us to dismantle those little walls so that we can get back to experiencing our natural state of being. It says in the Course that the opposite of love is fear. So that all of that, those walls, it's all based on fear. And then it goes further to say, but fear isn't real. Fear's not real. So even though you look like you've built up a wall around you, it's nothing. It's shadow puppets. And you've been, you know, trying to scare yourself with these little shadow puppets. So fear is an illusion. And then it says, you know, nothing real can be threatened. That's you. You're love. You're complete love. You're that fish in that water. You're surrounded by love. And that cannot be threatened if you recognize that truth. And as you recognize that truth, nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. So there's no sharks in the water of God. Like, you're free to swim with the grace of God in all ways and all directions for your highest good and for the highest good of all. There's nothing to fear. You know, there's nothing to it. There's literally nothing to it. And then it goes on to say, herein lies the peace of God. So that's the word we're looking at again. We're looking at the peace of God. That's what we're worthy of. So at the end of the year, most of us are looking for other things besides peace. We're looking to lean forward into the next idea of 2019 and catch a vision, a glimpse. We're going to shake the crazy 8-ball, you know, what's up? And try and go to, you know, limited sources for our good. But I'm going to suggest that instead of trying to reach outside ourselves and to furnish our year, that we begin by painting the walls with peace before we proceed in anything, that we make peace the goal this year. And I know that sounds undramatic and unsexy, but, you know, it really will be a great springboard. As you value peace, you will see great miracles. It's funny because all the things on my vision board, like to confess to you, there's no peace on that. It's all things, you know what I mean? But that's okay, because I know that the foundation is really peace, that the platform is peace. And if I make peace my platform, it will take me to places that I didn't even know to go. It will not be boring. Peace is actually quite blissful. It's a place of true bliss. And peace is how the king walks, with wealth and with nobility. And you're worthy of that, to walk with the smile of a conqueror, because you said, peace is my goal. And now everything else is going to be taken care of. So a few years back, I decided this for myself. I decided I'm going to roll with peace. I'm going to make that my platform. And then I watched as my life began to get real shiny and happy and free. And these were the things that I always wanted. I wanted to be shiny, happy, and free. But I didn't know how to get them until I recognized that I just had to let them. And what I had to let go of anything I couldn't do in peace. I let go of anything I could not do in peace. Can you hear me? Can I get an amen? Are you listening? Yeah. Are you ready to commit to that? Yes. Because that will require that you're going to show up and somebody's going to say, hey, can you do this and that? And you've got to say no. And Maureen said I could say no to that. And if you got to say no to me, that's okay. I can handle it. If you got to stay in bed on Sunday morning because that's where your peace lives, fine. I don't want to hear begrudgingly and in some sort of a state of, I got to do this thing this morning. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. So as we commit to showing up in peace, we're going to see miracles. So I got down to my 3 P's, which was the first one was peace, the next one was presence, and the next one was purpose. And they came in that order. The first one was peace, and I decided like I'm going to roll with peace. And even though I said like sometimes it might piss people off, the truth is most of the time it didn't. Like it gave people the permission to go, wow, I could choose that. I could choose not to show up and be thin. I could choose to show up and not be fractured. Like I could choose peace. Yeah, you could. So most of the time, nobody really got upset with me. The next one is presence. So once you say peace, then it immediately brings you to this present moment. Because the only thing you're thinking about is right now. You don't have to think about yesterday. You don't have to think about tomorrow. And as we value this present moment, we drop into a very majestic relationship with now. And it's quite a gift to your nervous system, and it's quite a gift to everyone around you. You become like a loyal puppy, you know what I mean? Who's just present, you know, and who doesn't want to be around a loyal puppy? So it brings joy to everyone you come in contact with if you allow yourself to show up that way. So that's the idea of presence. And there was a course that when I used to teach A Course in Miracles, actually down in Bodie, we got to the point where we didn't open the book anymore. We just sat and stared at each other in awe of the beauty of this moment. And that is such a beautiful thing to practice. And that is an intimate thing to practice. And you'll find a million reasons not to just do that. You don't have to practice it in a designed class that says we're going to practice the presence. You could go to Starbucks. You could go to your yoga classes. You could go to the DMV, and you could say, I'm going to be present in this moment, and I'm going to recognize Christ in my brother. Like, you could practice that. So that's presence. And then from presence comes purpose. When we're really paying attention to the present moment, our purpose will be revealed to us, because we'll come holy, and there's only two things that's happening in this experience. There's either love, as you come in peace and love, or there's a call for love. And that's just a place that doesn't know love yet. And as you stay present in the moment, those opportunities to extend love will be presented to you. And you'll no longer run from them or hide or say, got no time, or be in the past, or be in the future. You'll just do what needs to be done at hand. You know, and you'll be given all the resources you need to fulfill that purpose. And you'll think, well, I want a bigger purpose than just that, wiping people's noses and serving, you know what I mean? Like, I want to make my mark, you know? Well, what I've come to find is that when I take care of the small links of my own spiritual web, that God is in the background moving mountains on my behalf. I want to play big because I still want to be helpful and I want to make my mark, but I recognize that we all do desire to be needed. Like, that's an ingrained within all of us. That's a beautiful thing. So instead of being big, be right-sized and be helpful. Instead of playing big, just play. You know, just play your part in the harmony of God. And I promise you that you will not want to play anything else once you got a taste of that. So many of us are, like I said, we're going to shake the crazy 8 ball this week and ask for directions. We'll check the stars. We'll throw some rooms. We'll pull some cards. If you know me, I'm going to do all of them. Why not? Play Catalyst over at Beth Gordon's house. Cut out some shiny images from vision boards and plaster them up. To start with peace. And we're going to practice getting the vision of our internal teacher here together in community. When we do some practices in community, where 2 or more are gathered, it takes us to a more optimal state of possibility. It's more fertile ground. Maybe as we set an intention, we look within. And as we do look within, that we try not to go as we look without further than our own nose. That we take what is at hand exactly as it is, and we love that like crazy. And I practiced this when I was at a particular job where I didn't want to be there anymore because it got kind of toxic. And I asked my internal teacher, how do I navigate this? Because you know we end things with divorce and destruction and death, and I wanted to amputate that thing and run and blame. And the Holy Spirit said to me, love your way out of this. Like, love it until it falls away. And I did, and it did. And it catapulted me into my next thing, and it was seamless. Like, it was just seamless how it happened. And before I even knew it, my husband was like, no, what are you do because you don't got a job. And within a week, somebody called me like, hey, you want to go, you know, partner with me in this thing? And I was like, actually, that sounds perfect. You know what I mean? So, you know, as we apply these principles, we can trust that, you know, that God really is that large and in charge, that God really does love you that much. So I'm going to invite you to get into a little practice with me by closing your eyes. And I'm going to take you into a little practice, and I'm going to read that poem from Maya Angelo. Taking a moment to close your eyes and find your way to a thought of peace. Wherever that thought lives for you, whatever that thought is. It could be a serene lake, it could be an energetic feeling, it could be a memory of someone you love. But breathe in that peace. And breathe it into your mind. And as you breathe it into your mind, imagine yourself allowing that breath and that idea to wash away all of the mad rambles that are currently on the chalkboard of your mind. With every breath, just imagine a soft sponge of warm water washing away all of the agendas, all of the to-dos, all of the concerns, all of the worries, and just allow yourself to experience a little open space for grace. God bless you. And then allow that peace to move from your mind into your heart. And then feel as you move into the idea of welcoming peace into your heart, feel the idea expanding your heart, literally opening your heart up. And then imagine that peace moving down into your hands, into your feet, and just filling your entire being with peace. Recognizing it moving through your nervous system, through your blood vessels, through your muscles, and through your essence. And just giving yourself a little grace period, a little place of peace. And as we continue to just practice being present, I ask the divine that lives within each of us to bring to each of us, to our minds, a word or a phrase or a symbol that might be a helpful resource or inspiration for this year. And I just ask that you let it come to you as I close with this poem from Maya Angelo. Thunder rumbles in the mountain passes, and lightning rattles the eaves of our houses. Floodwaters await us in our avenues. Snow falls upon snow, falls upon snow to avalanche over unprotected villages. The sky slips low and gray and threatening, and we question ourselves. What have we done to so affront nature? We worry God. Are you there? Are you really there? Does the covenant you made with us still hold? And into the climate of fear and apprehension, Christmas enters, streaming lights of joy, ringing bells of hope, and singing carols of forgiveness high up in the bright air. And the world is encouraged to come away from rancor, to come away to friendship. It's the gladdened season. The thunder ebbs to silence. The lightning sleeps quietly in the corner. Floodwaters recede into memory. Snow becomes a yielding cushion to aid us as we make our way to higher ground. Hope is born again in the faces of children. It rides on the shoulders of our aged as they walk into their sunset. Hope spreads around the earth, brightening all things, even hate, which crouches breeding in dark corridors. In our joy, we think we hear a whisper. At first it's too soft, then only half heard. We listen carefully as it gathers strength. We hear a sweetness. The word is peace. It's louder now, peace. It's louder, peace. Louder than the explosions of bombs. And we tremble at the sound. And we're thrilled by the presence. And it's what we have hungered for. Not just the absence of war, but true peace. A harmony of spirit. A comfort of courtesies. Securities for our beloveds and their beloveds. We clasp hands and welcome the peace of Christmas. We beckon this good season to wait a while with us. We Baptists, Buddhists, Methodists, Muslims, say come, peace. Come and fill us with your word, with your majesty. We, the Jews, the Gentiles, the Catholics, the Confucians, implore you to stay a while with us, so we may learn by your shimmering light how to look beyond complexion and see community. It's Christmas time, a halting of hate. On this platform of peace, we can create a language to translate ourselves, to each other. At this holy instant, we celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ. Into the great religions of the world, we jubilate the precious advent of trust. We shout with glorious tongues at the coming of hope. All the earth's tribes loosen their voice to celebrate the promise of peace. We, angels, mortals, believers, non-believers, look heavenward and speak the word aloud. Peace. We look at our world and speak the word aloud. Peace. We look at each other and then at ourselves. And we say, without shyness or apology or hesitation, peace, my brother, peace, my sister, peace, my soul. And that's the word.
Yay.